Live from Penn State's campus, this is Nittany Talk, and I'm Charlie Krakowski, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about commonly debated topics, checking in with our politics and entertainment panels, and getting prepared for the coveted Penn State whiteout. Now, let's get to talking. Oh, yeah, that's the... Welcome back to Nittany Talk. To start up this show, we're going to check in with our politics panel, where they'll continue to discuss Biden's presidency and age limits on governmental officials. Take it away, Olivia.
Thanks, Charlie. I'm joined here by Jace Obardo, Francie Ebert, Ryan Lowry, and Yaya Wayne. Starting off with Biden, his approval rating is super low right now. A poll from 538 this morning found that 53.9% of Americans disapprove of Biden. All the polls that I've seen currently are around that 50% mark. Francie, I'll start with you. Has Biden done anything good in office?
That's a great question, Olivia. I'll just start off by saying there's some nitty-gritty things that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. And I'm going to bring up some things, and you guys can comment on it whether or not you think it's valid to come in the conversation. So Biden has ensured compliance with voting right laws. The Department of Justice has taken a variety of steps to help protect the right to vote. Biden has had more people with health insurance than ever before. In addition, there's broad access to digital media skills, which is a part of the bipartisan infrastructure law that ensured 65 billion access to high-speed internet. And it's little things like that I don't think people recognize. Internet in today's day and age is very, very essential. Just for jobs, news. I know it doesn't seem that important, but in our generation and our time period, the internet's everything. Then we go back into climate change and his whole force for that. And just more people are working in America than any point in history. And I think that has some interesting...
Yeah, before we get to that, because I do have some thoughts on that as well, I do also want to bring up that under the Biden administration, actually, the Emmett Till anti-lynching law was put into effect, and I think that is a really big deal. In all honesty, it doesn't really surprise me that people don't know about it, because for a large majority of Americans, it's not something that they really think about in the everyday life. However, for African Americans, this is a huge deal, because before 2023, there wasn't a federal law protecting people from lynching, which, if our audience is not familiar with what lynching is, it is not necessarily just hangings, but just public killings without a trial, without a jury, and things like that. And these were still happening up until this day. There are still thousands of unreported lynchings that happen in America. And so for this to be codified into federal law and to protect a community like this that has had such a horrible history with lynching, I think is super important. And I wish people would know and be more aware of that. So I think that's something that is very overlooked and should be spoken about.
I'm a big fan of what all of you guys have just mentioned. I was a really big fan of the Affordable Connectivity Program, which you were talking about, and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. I think that it's great that I believe the number was 19 states received over $1 billion in infrastructure funding. That's very important. If we look at the statistics, 11th overall in terms of deaths that have related to people in the United States have been due to car accidents. Infrastructure, very important. The safer the roads, the better off we are driving around. Not only that, other terms of infrastructure and affordable connectivity. School systems basically rely these days on technology. The school system I came from got hacked. Our school was basically shut down for a week. So we really need technology. It's a right at this point, and it's no longer a privilege.
I agree with what you guys have said. That's pretty good. The infrastructure bill is fantastic. He also put a cap on insulin costs, which is really good because There's a lot of people who have trouble affording insulin. But I like to see more America First policies come from Biden because I think he started off on a bad foot at the beginning of his presidency with pulling troops out of Afghanistan, and now the Taliban has $7 billion in military weapons from us that are just there because we decided to just pull them out all at once, which was very haphazardly. And I also think we need to address the border because that's definitely a big thing that's going to need to be talked about in the next election, regardless of who's running. I think August was had the highest number of illegal immigrants coming into our country. And the way we're dealing with that just doesn't really make sense because we have so many homeless people in our country right now. And these people, it's a catch and release system, basically what we have. So the illegal immigrants or people crossing the border come in and they're put up in hotels or whatever. Once they're released from these detention centers that we have, and then they're put on public transportation and they're just pushed out. But there's so many people who can't even afford to do that who have lived here their whole lives. So I'd like to see more effort put towards that. But
Biden has received some criticism within his own party for that. The New York mayor, Eric Adams, made his way all the way over to Texas just to complain about the situation and how it's his problem. He's been working closely with the New York City public school system to house these migrants, but it's really become a big problem.
Right. And I think I don't know if it's his press team or whoever is in charge of his advisors, we'll say.
It also has to do with Vice President Harris as well.
Well, that's true. I think they just need to do a better job of kind of like stepping back and being like, well, let's evaluate everything that's going to happen, because even with this latest prisoner swap we had with Iran, we gave $6 billion to Iran. We unfroze that much money. So.
And that was today, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
It was today or the
This
other
morning,
day. Yeah,
something.
this week.
Yeah.
So.
There was footage of it released this morning on YouTube,
Yeah.
available to the public.
Right. And so, again, I'd like to see more America First, and a lot of people should pay attention to that when it comes to 2024.
What types of issues are you specifically looking for when you're talking about America First?
I think the border is number one, and I think
Border.
that's number one for a lot of people in the country,
Republican
especially
Party would agree
along
with
the
you.
southern. Well, yeah, and I think a lot more people should, because we need to start taking care of the people in our country before, we need, I'm not saying we shouldn't, we have allies in other countries, but we need to put a stronger focus on what's going on here.
Local governments have been stressing that their resources has been pushed away from the people and towards the recent immigration spike.
Right.
I mean, another thing that is connected to Biden in a way because he is president is inflation. I mean, inflation increased by 3.2% in July, this past July, from a year ago. So it's the lowest, and we're the 8th lowest in 34 developed countries. So Biden economics.
I want to go back to Francie's point about how in America currently, unemployment is the lowest it's ever been. Yes, that sounds like a good thing, but I think it's really time for us to reevaluate the metrics by which we measure economic success.
Right.
Because even if unemployment is the lowest it's ever been, the poverty rate is still at 11.5%, which if the unemployment rate has been fluctuating from between 3 to 4%, there's no reason why the poverty rate shouldn't be going down with it. So if people are working more, but they're not getting more out of that work, then there's an issue, because
It's like
where's
one
that
step
money
forward, two
going?
steps back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that goes with wages, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Pay has
aren't-
to equal inflation.
People aren't getting paid enough for what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the public confidence with Biden is pretty low right now. I mean, the approval rating, like we mentioned earlier, is pretty low. So I'm interested to see what happens in 2024 and if
And-
people want him back.
Well, and I think that's interesting because CNN had a poll out that said 67% of Democratic voters said the party should nominate someone else, which
Wow.
I don't know
crazy.
who
They
their
don't,
options are.
they don't
The-
fall behind RFK, though.
The window's closing. I think Michelle Obama would be a really strong candidate for them, and Democrats would win 100%. Republicans wouldn't stand a chance. I don't think they'll run her this election cycle. Maybe next one in 2028. But with that 67%, 49% of people said it was his age, 7% said it was his mental state, his health, his ability to handle the job, and 6% said his popularity and electability. So do you think people will get behind Kamala Harris?
We'll have to
about that.
see. I think that's a
episode.
topic for next time. We're going to kick it back to you, Charlie. Thanks.
So it appears we need some younger people in the government. Here's an idea. I'm a young person, the ripe age of 21. Why don't you go out and vote me into local office? Charlie Kritkowski, 2024. We'll be right back.
Like last time we played Iowa, it was close, and I think those games that keep you on the edge of your seat are like the most fun to watch, especially in the stadium, because you know you're bringing the energy.
Welcome back to Nittany Talk. It's that time of the year. With Penn State football currently having a record of 3-0, the Nittany Lions look to go 1-0 this week in what is known as the greatest show in college sports, the whiteout game. Let's send it over to Jackson.
Thanks, Charlie. I'm joined here today by Sadie Protzi, Margaret Mabry, and Arushi Masiria to discuss the upcoming whiteout game, the festivities associated, as well as the history of this national recognized event. Now, this game is something that is nationally broadcasted, and it's been that way ever since 2004 when it started. Now, unfortunately, Penn State did lose that game 20-13. However, we have a winning record in all the games since, not all of them, but a winning record since, and it has become almost a national event for people who don't even go to Penn State.
Yeah.
So that being said, I want to start with you. What is your favorite whiteout game ever?
All right, so personally, my favorite whiteout game might be a little different. I don't know about you, but me, I'm Michigan 2017 when Saquon Barkley was here. I think you also had a great one. If you want to touch on that real quick, because I love Saquon Barkley, so I think I could talk a little bit longer than
Your
you.
game
so
was actually better. Your game was better.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go over mine.
I'm going to throw it to you
Now,
first.
Yes. So this was a 28-21 win, and it was not obviously not a lopsided game.
Tough battle.
Tough battle. But the atmosphere was just electric. It had that iconic moment when Michigan had to call a timeout in the first play.
As if we don't see that
And
every day.
They went home scared. We all know they did. And it was just a great overall game for any audience. Now I want to go to your game.
Okay, perfect. Like I said, Saquon Barkley, I'm pretty sure everyone thinks he's a Saquon legend, or a Penn State legend, I should say. And, I mean, he is a Penn State legend. That game against Michigan, we completely blew them out 42-13. Look at him lifting him up like they do this year, lifting the players up in the air. I love that. He ran for a 69-yard touchdown. And, I mean, it wasn't really a battle. It was running all over Michigan, and I always love to see that against the blue. So what do you guys have for your favorite whiteout games?
My favorite whiteout game was in 2016, Ohio State versus Penn State. It was way before my time, but I mean, people still talk about it all the time. I swear we were not even ranked. Ohio State was ranked number 2, and we blew them out of. We didn't blow them out of the water, but it was close. And it had people on the edge of their seats the whole entire game, 24-21. And we took that momentum from that game and ran it into winning the conference championship against the Wisconsin Badgers. So that was my favorite.
Very
What
nice.
a year.
Now, I'm a little biased, but everyone has like their first whiteout experience. In my freshman year, it was Penn State versus Auburn, and it was a good game. We scored a touchdown each quarter. It was 20-28. So, I mean, there's nothing like that first whiteout experience. So I think I would go with that one.
Now,
for mine.
on that, so we're all Penn State students here. What is your favorite Penn State whiteout experience that you actually got to see in person?
I am actually going to have to agree with you. I know we are both juniors, so I'm going to have to say the Auburn game. My first game was actually Auburn game. That was the first time in the stadium, and I remember just being like, oh my gosh. Like, you don't, like the number, 107,000 people, it sounds so big, but you get in that stadium and you're like, this is really a lot of people, and it's amazing. I'm sure you can agree. Was Auburn your
It's
favorite?
a whole city
Yeah,
in
definitely.
that stadium.
It literally is a whole city.
It's a whole city, yeah. The attendance off the charts, as every year goes. But yeah, there's nothing like that first time going to Beaver Stadium, because that, like for whiteout especially, like Beaver Stadium is eccentric as it is, but the whiteout game is just a whole different energy. But yeah.
Truly is. Now, I'm a sophomore, so my favorite had to be my first, which was Minnesota.
Minnesota.
A lopsided game against an unranked team, but
Right.
still a very enjoyable experience. They had a false start in the first play because of the noise in the stadium, which is always beautiful to see. Go for a
You
stink.
love to see it, yes.
And I believe you were also a sophomore?
Yeah, I mean, that had to be my favorite game as well. First and favorite. we were at like 110,000 people, almost 1,100.
Yeah.
So I think this game, hopefully we can hit that 1,100,000
We're hitting
mark.
111K this game.
This
All right.
game.
We are
Yeah,
committed.
Is that our
Okay.
prediction?
We are
Definitely.
rallying. We are getting 111K in that stadium.
Yeah.
We were so
11
close at West
111K?
Virginia.
111K.
111.
111 for sure.
All right, so we're all. This is a unanimous agreement.
Yes.
Unanimous
Yeah.
agreement,
We're hitting
for
that.
sure.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think we might. I would love to see it hit a little bit more, like 111, 100,000,
Okay.
like plus. You know?
Totally
Could happen.
possible. This is Penn State. It's the
Yeah.
whiteout.
Now,
Like,
attendance, that's important to everything. But
Yeah.
what is the score going to be? I want to start with you.
I'm going to say 37-11.
okay.
Oh.
I'd love to
Rushi?
see a blowout, but as we know, like last time we played Iowa, it was close, and I think those games that keep you on the edge of your seat are like the most fun to watch, especially in the stadium, because you know you're bringing the energy, you know you're going to do all you can to like support the team. So I mean, maybe 38-40. Like I want to see the
38-40?
numbers raking
80?
up there. Yeah.
I'm wearing my blue and white right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we're going to have a good game. But like you said, that last Iowa game, that was a dog fight. And we saw
Yeah.
a lot of injuries happen for Penn State. We saw a lot of mocking happen as well. So I think
Yeah.
they're coming out for
Unacceptable.
blood. I don't know. I don't think they're going to blow them out. This is an in-conference matchup. It's the first
Right.
Big Ten home opener.
Big Ten
So
home opener.
I think it's going to be 36-14.
36-14. So we got
I
a little
like
closer
that.
games.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Okay. What are you thinking,
Here we
Jackson?
go.
Lay it on us.
Iowa is not really good. I'm
Okay.
going to go ahead and say
Facts.
it's a number 24
Keep it straight.
versus a number 7. I say 45-10.
Okay.
I say we send them back to the cornfields where they belong.
The-
I'm on board with that.
Okay.
I would love to see that. Yeah.
I like where you're going with that.
I will have to, that's my honest opinion.
Okay.
Now,
Fair enough.
this weekend has a lot more festivities besides the game. Is anybody doing anything very fun this weekend? Want to share?
I mean, you can't go wrong with tailgating. The
Yeah.
tailgating is always such a blast.
We'll
so.
be up 8 a.m., you know, just outside of the
Oh,
stadium.
yeah.
Even before the game, the thing about like Penn State is like the community here. It doesn't even matter if we even get to that point, but the whole day people are going to be outside just showing their pride, and that's what we love to see. But Sadie, I know it's your
It's my
birthday
birthday
weekend.
week.
So
No, I'm
Early happy
so
birthday,
excited.
Sadie.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm claiming this as my huge birthday party.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait for this whiteout. Auburn was like a birthday party for me too. So I can't wait for the tailgates, all the food. My outfit was just ordered. Hopefully
Right.
Prime shipping comes through.
Yeah.
But I can't wait. What are you looking forward to?
I would say just mainly tailgating and just getting out there early and getting there well before the game starts and really just having a good time with everything before. Like
Yeah.
I mean, after I'm going to go to sleep, but because I'll be tired from screaming.
Yeah.
But you know how it
Valid,
goes.
yeah.
Well, that's all for this early peek at one of Penn State's signature and most prideful events. Thank you for tuning in, and please have a safe and enjoyable whiteout. Back to you, Charlie.
Well, I can gladly say I paid retail price for my whiteout ticket this year. I'm so stoked for this game. It's going to be electric. And I believe that we will break last year's attendance record. I'm thinking 1-1-1-1-1-1. Let's see about that. We'll be right back.
What Storm stands for and what Danny did is so, like, it's just baffling to me. And there's a quote from the organization. They made a statement on their website.
Welcome back to Nittany Talk. We're going to start things off by sending it to our entertainment panel to get us caught up on pop culture current events. Over to you, Courtney.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Today I am joined here with Jake, Emily, Emma, Abby, Neela, and Jordan, and we're going to kick things off by discussing the recent charges against Danny Masterson and why Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis are facing backlash. So recently, I don't know if you guys have seen it on TikTok, on social media, but there has been a lot against, obviously, Danny Masterson. He just got charged 2 counts for rape in 2001 and 2003. And actually just today, his wife is filing divorce. So what do you guys think about this?
It's definitely been a very big moment in entertainment news. And I think looking at the backlash, too, that involves Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis has been a super interesting topic right now.
Yeah, like why did they have to chime in? Like, what do you guys think about that?
You have to keep in mind that none of the other co-stars of that 70s show were ever going to write character letters. So just hearing that from them was quite shocking because no matter what, whenever you're dealing with, such a magnitude of like trauma like rape in this case, like I say just from my perspective that you wouldn't want to get involved. And the fact that none of them did except Mila and Ashton just goes to show where their priorities were at in trying to defend their friend.
Yeah. I agree. Like when I first saw this case, it was obviously it's a lot to deal with, especially when it's someone that you've worked with on a show for so long, someone that you're so close to. Obviously, you're going to have feelings in there and you're going to want to preach for them and say things. But I think exactly going off of what you said, when it's dealing with something so serious that involves the law and rape, I really don't know if it's your place to step in and show your opinion off at really that time.
Well, because
Oh, go ahead.
I think that's an interesting perspective to look at it, because a lot of the people looking into this are saying, why would they vouch for someone like that? But when you think about it from their perspective, this is someone that they've known for how many years? It's like this is a friend to them. They don't want to imagine that he would do something like that. And so that makes it difficult of what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, and going off of the friend thing, you also have to keep in mind it's easy for people to put on a specific personality, a persona.
Exactly.
So they could have been writing a reference based on the person that Masterson wanted them to think he was. So who really is Danny Masterson, and like what is where the character reference is even truthful in the first place?
And to go off what you were saying, the devil's in the details here, because Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher wrote this because they wanted to vouch for a lower sentencing, and they weren't dismissing the victims. And Ashton Kutcher said this specifically in his letter. What does he say here? He goes, while I'm aware that the judgment has been cast as guilty on 2 counts of rape by force and the victims have a great desire for justice. So people need to stop, saying, oh, these guys are, these 2 people are terrible people, but also asking that moral question, should they be involved at all, So I think that's a great conversation that we're having here right now.
And I'm going to have to agree with you. Whenever I saw their apology video, they, of course, apologized for, meeting the wrong crowd with their, whenever their letters were released. However, people gave them negative backlash for quite literally all the wrong reasons, in my opinion. They were writing character letters for their friend that they knew, like you said, and there was no line in their letters that ever was defending what his allegations and now his convictions were telling.
Yeah, and speaking of his apology, a lot of people have been coming out with really bad apologies recently. So do you guys think this was like a legit one, or did you expect more from them?
Well, that's what a lot of people were saying. They were like, they were so dressed down, it looked like they didn't really care about the apology. But in retrospect, if they were like too dressed up, people would have thought, oh, this is so like Hollywood. So I feel like them, if they did what they did or didn't do anything, people would obviously say anything. There's a wrong in every way,
And there was a lot of backlash saying, oh, this sounds like something a lawyer wrote for them to say. And when you do watch the video, it definitely sounds a little scripted, and it does sound like some lawyer jargon. However, in this kind of situation, I think as we all see, you have to be careful with what you say. You can't just go in blind. You need to be prepared and legally make the right statements.
And my biggest question is, would they have issued this apology had the public not known about these letters? It's just true. Like, we're sorry that we got caught, that you had to see that, or are they like genuinely sorry, like for really playing a hand in this situation?
That is a good thought. I don't think anyone was supposed to actually see the letters. I think it was supposed to be concealed just between them and the judge. So I'm not exactly sure how the letters got out.
Right.
But I do think it was supposed to be like a quiet matter.
I feel like it can be interpreted both ways, because I try to look at it from like a moral standpoint. Just from historically, Ashton and Mila have been considered one of the best celebrity couples in modern media. And with his organizations, with Thorne, and of course I know that they both stepped down. I just want to think that it was coming from an actual genuine standpoint. Of course, I'm sure they didn't ever think those letters were ever going to get out, but I do believe that their apology was heartfelt and that it was genuine.
Was it the right move for them to step down, though?
See, I think that's an interesting topic, because with what the organization is based upon, it's, again, a similar situation to the case that they're facing. And part of you wants to wonder, was it the right move? But the other part is it shows how much they care about this organization, that they're willing to leave to keep, so that this organization can keep doing the work that they're doing and stick with it instead of, oh, I want my name attached to this.
I agree. And I think it's so hard. I'm so split on the issue as well, because the what Thorne stands for and what Danny did is so like, it's just baffling to me. And there's a quote from the organization. They made a statement on their website, and it said, "We would not be the Thorne today without Ashton's contributions. He's played a significant role in the impact we've made, and we are grateful for his participation over the last 15 years." So he obviously is passionate about it. He loves his organization, and he stands for what it says. So that's also part of me that thinks maybe the apology was heartfelt, and maybe they really didn't mean this, and maybe they, like Jordan, you were saying, they were just vouching for their old friend.
Yeah, because I mean, they were saying they were trying to get him a lesser sentence because it was, 30 years to life? So that's, I don't think they were trying to diminish any of the victims or anything like that.
No,
I think
not
it
at
was
all.
strictly just, let's see what we can do for this guy that we thought we knew. I don't think they're sitting here saying what he did was okay, because they aren't.
No.
They're
Right.
just trying to do their part.
I think. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But also, like, with trying to get that shorter sentencing, are they saying that he deserves it because he's been a good guy and, like, oh, he committed this, but he should still get a shorter sentence? It's like, I understand that he might have, once again, had that persona with them, but still, this, like, rape is rape. Like,
Exactly.
you can't,
It is true.
a shorter sentence just because you're a good person, I just, I don't see how
I
that.
know they mentioned something about how they didn't want his daughter growing up without a dad. So, like, I get that part of it, but like you said, like, rape is rape. So just because he is, like, a famous figure, he shouldn't have a lesser offense when there's other people that are everyday people that are 30 years into life.
I just feel that this wasn't really a time for them to get involved. You know, this is something between him and the law and what happens from there. But I feel that I think Ashton Kutcher, like, stepping down from Thorne, I think that was something he did out of respect, because I guess being in all of this, he didn't want to have that representation on what he's basically, like, going against. It's kind of, right on each other. But I think that kind of shows character in the way that he genuinely does care. So I think it was all just made in the wrong perception a lot on media and things like that. But
I mean,
think
he's still a philanthropist. Like, he's not going to stop contributing to the cause. So,
Exactly, yeah.
no, I agree with that.
I think he just didn't want it to diminish
Yeah.
everything that they've
Absolutely.
accomplished.
I was
Yeah.
going to say the exact same thing. I know that he's been doing this and he's been trying to contribute to their mission for years, and he's advocated for years, as is Mila as well. And it just goes to show, like, I really do think it wasn't out of, like, just trying to avoid it, or trying to, draw the light somewhere else. But I really do think he didn't want the negative backlash he was getting to affect the mission that he's, worked forward for years.
Yeah, and that shows his commitment to the cause, and that shows what he stands for.
And speaking of advocating for other people, Bijou Phillips, was married to Danny Masterson, no longer will be here in a couple of months probably. We need to talk about her background, because she has had issues with violence and abuse for a while. Unfortunately, there's been abuse in her family. Her father was Papa John Phillips. He was in the band Mamas and the Papas, and there was apparently some incest going on there with her sister and her father. So there's a lot of abuse cycling going through here. So I think it kind of makes sense, Bijou Phillips and Danny Masterson being together and them kind of sticking together as a unit. And I was honestly shocked by this headline today. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, me
I was too.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it really just dropped today that she filed for divorce. And obviously with her background, like you mentioned, she's not happy.
I'm curious as to what made her do it. Like, why today?
Exactly.
Why now? Why not
Absolutely.
when
It happened 20 years
yeah,
ago.
exactly. Why not even like a couple weeks ago when the case was going? Like, it's a mystery, honestly.
It really is. Well, going off of that, I know a lot of people separate the actor from the actual person. Do you guys feel like that's what you guys are going to do and continue watching his work, or do you think you're going to completely stop altogether?
I think it's similar to like Kanye, sort of. Like, are people still gonna listen? Like, he's obviously not a good person at all, but a lot of people like his music. He's an extremely popular artist, so I think it's a similar thing. Like, I do love that 70s show. I've watched it before, but I don't know. I mean, that's something I think I'm gonna have to think about in the future.
I mean, but I also think, he wasn't the one, Ashton Kutcher wasn't the one that committed a crime here. He just vouched for a friend. So in that kind of case, I think it's a little different. I think he still is a very respectful guy.
Overall, I think we just want justice for the victims,
Exactly.
and they got that.
Absolutely.
Definitely. While, like I said, there are so many layers to this story, and I'm sure there's still more that is going to come out, especially with his ex-wife. Well, yeah, his ex-wife now. There's probably still going to be way more. But like I said, that is all we have for today. Thank you for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you next time. Back to you, Charlie.
Thanks, Courtney. Being in the public eye can be very challenging, especially if you do bad things. I just hope that justice is served. We'll be right back.
See, I love color coding everything on my Google. Like, I have a Google Calendar and an Apple Calendar, and I copy it on both with all my, it's amazing.
Welcome back to Nittany Talk. In this segment, we're going to decide what is better when it comes to these school-related debates. So don't be surprised if there are some hot takes. Over to you, Natalie.
Thanks, Charlie. I'm joined here today with Gigi Fuentes, Muriel Reese, and Joy Donald. Us girls are going to delve into our opinions on how to study, stay organized, and what colors belong with what school subjects. What a trivial topic is the school subjects.
So, okay.
What do you think?
I'm very passionate about because I followed it all through my life. I'm just going to give you my list, okay?
Yeah.
I think English should be yellow.
Okay, I disagree.
Yeah, I know. I knew it. Okay, history should be blue. Math should be red.
Okay.
And science is green.
Okay, science is green. I think
Yeah,
we all can agree.
I'm glad we all agree on one.
To me, English is blue because English is basic. It lays down the foundation of everything.
I have to disagree. I think English is red.
I feel like math is red.
No, math is red.
Math is red
I
too.
think definitely math is red. It's just because it makes me just a tiny bit angry.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's so intense
I
for
get
no
frustrated.
reason.
See, I think math, it just makes me so sad. So it's blue. It just makes me so sad.
The math blues.
That's actually
red is
valid.
passionate. I'm passionate about
I feel like
so
growing up, my math textbooks were also always red. So I matched the
agree,
folder
actually.
and the binder
Yeah,
and
I
all
think
my.
so. I actually agree.
Yeah.
I can't even say
To
I've ever
me-
opened a math textbook, so
To me, history is yellow.
Oh yeah, that's
I can
a
live
hot
with that.
take.
I can live
That's
with that.
That is a hot take, and I know, but I stand by it.
Okay, I'm going to tell you my reasons why history should be blue, okay?
Okay.
And you guys are all going to change all your subjects after this, and it's going to be totally okay. Okay, so when you think of history, you think of the globe, okay? You think of the world, because that's what, you learned about world history, you learned in and if you look at the globe, it's mostly blue. Therefore,
I also disagree. I think that history, to me, was more about learning about people and the leaders, which would always wear crowns that were yellow and gold.
you mean how they traveled across the blue sea?
Well, geography to me is blue.
Uh-huh.
But
And
history
geography
is
is a
yellow.
part of history, though.
I think history is yellow though because all the old papers and then so all those are yellow.
they're like
they're ancient. They're
Yeah.
old. So it's
No, well, I put English as yellow because, I don't know. I just put English as yellow because I thought it was happy. What about you, Gigi? What do you do?
I think history is purple for me just because that's the vibe I get. I feel calm when doing history. I just memorize everything. Exams come, I'm like, I know everything already. So purple is kind of a calm color for me. Math, I agree with you guys. I think it's red. But I'm also in Marielle's side because I also get angry when
So valid.
it only goes well when I really understand it. But usually, most of the time, I'm just wondering what I'm doing. I'm wondering what's going on with math. So, that's my take on it.
Speaking of struggling in class, we had to take notes. How do you guys do that, and how do you guys study? Online or with physical paper?
Okay, so it depends on the class for me.
Okay.
For my journalism reporting classes, I find it easier to jot down notes only because if they ask me to do any man in the streets or if they ask me to I'm going to do that in the same notebook so I can kind of flip back to what the teacher said instead of having to pull up my phone or whatever. So personally I'm a bit of both, but more leaning towards recently.
For me personally, at least, I use them interchangeably. I use online notes when I'm doing lecture. And then when I'm doing more organized ones, I do it on paper. But for most of the times, I do it online too.
Do you do like the pretty calligraphy?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I can never do
That's
that,
why I
but
like
I
my
love sitting
iPad.
next to people
And I
who
like
do the
to
pretty
highlight
calligraphy.
it. I love it.
I love writing in cursive using my highlighters. I have a whole pencil case. It's pink because it just matches my wrist.
Aw, that's awesome.
So,
too.
yes.
I love that.
Yeah, I love me my mild liners. Can't live
Oh
without
yes,
them, honestly.
they're really expensive though. Getting some stationery,
splurge.
but you know what? It's worth it.
Talking about online versus paper, are you guys pro physical planner or online calendar?
Physical, and I am physical planner. I'm so passionate about this. Having a tangible thing to look at and cross out and write in is like so satisfying. It makes my day better.
See, I love color coding everything on my Google. Like, I actually I have a Google Calendar and an Apple Calendar, and I copy it on both with all my, like, it's amazing. I could put down, like, my sports games that I'm watching. I could put down when I'm here for Nittany Talk. I can put down, like, exactly when my classes are, where they are. It's, like, the perfect thing. I love it.
Honestly, I really agree with that because I need my phone. Like, my entire life is on my phone. So if I don't get a notification, I'm simply forgetting.
Exactly.
So I need that on there. And, like, the only thing keeping me on track right now is my Canvas, like, calendar on the side. So, and crossing that off, turning it in, and it disappears, it just makes class worth it.
When I use planners, at least for me, I love highlighting, kind of the same as color coding, but I love like putting stickers. I love just writing all the tasks I have to do, so I have it on paper. I could open up in the morning and just see everything that I have to do for the day, and it's perfect for me. But I totally agree with the online because for classes I use it. But yes.
Yeah. Well, that was great debate. I feel like we shared our own opinions. But regardless of our opinions, remember to study, stay organized, and use whatever color folders that make you happy and allow you to have a successful school year. Now we're opening it up to you. Comment below your favorite debate and your thoughts. Back to you, Charlie.
Well, those are our thoughts on school preferences. Personally, I was and still am the kid that has no organization when it comes to school. Folder colors don't matter to me because I don't use folders, let alone a binder. I don't take notes, and calendars don't matter because all the days blend together to me anyways. Well, that's all for this week's episode. What segment did you enjoy the most? Let us know in the comment section below. For Nittany Talk, I'm Charlie Krakowski, and we'll see you next week.